Congrats to Delaware. Their game plan worked. They shot the ball well. I thought Blitzenhauser as well as Fernandez played great basketball. And the zone did a good job of keeping us out of rhythm, keeping us out of flow. And so give them credit. They did a good job.
Coach, during this three-game losing streak here, what are some of the things that you're finding as being the biggest challenges for you guys?
Well, I think the biggest thing, of course, there's always scouting report. So as you watch after a while, you find ways to beat us. And I think one of the things that most teams try to do, you're trying to way to guard Mike, guard Keith, make those catches tough, make those guys work for shots. So it means on the perimeter, you got the shots will present themselves. And it's amazing that Kobe ends up with 25 points the way he's defended. It's a lot of screening, but he's aggressive, get his shots up. And we got to get other guys aggressively shooting the ball and looking for the offense on the perimeter, especially when you see a zone again. But we have opportunities to attack the zone on the interior. But I just think really for us is really digging a little bit deeper, getting the edge in practice, and then carrying over to the game and being consistent with that. And just, playing off 2 feet in the paint. I think that's the next growth area for Keith, and we spend a lot of time with him. When you get in that paint, play off 2 feet, jump stop, finish strong. And I think he has to be better in that, finishing strong around the rim. And we got to make our free throws. Last game we were 3 for 9 from the line down the stretch, and you got to make your free throws.
I guess the other question I had too, we spoke to the Hall of Famers earlier. Obviously, Mr. Weems had played for you, and he spoke right up. He just talked about how he knows your program operates. When you look back at when you got to see those guys today, and then also what you're seeing in the present day team, what are some things that you want this team to emulate that those teams used to do?
Well, in fairness to teams now, it's not as if you have guys for 2 and 3 years together. So there's growth. I mean, you're talking Kyle Winslow had him as a freshman, and you talk about him and the guys that he played with, they were together for 3 years. So those experiences that they learned together, they've battle tested. He had a lot of growing to do as a freshman, and they did great things together. So it's a little bit different now. We have so many parts, so now you're trying to get the right guys to gel together. And I don't want to say quickly because it takes what it takes. And we have the parts, so that's not the question at all. But I just think really, I think the thing that what I find most with today's group of young men is the level of grit that they lack and the determination. And I think, and a competitive spirit. Somebody has to win the game. We're not just playing to be playing. So I think getting guys that understand how to compete. Because you can say play hard, but what does that mean? Compete, I got to be able to guard this guy. I got to get stops. I got to rebound. I got to be physical. I got to do things that I don't like doing that are very uncomfortable. So I think that's the biggest thing. But in that era, they grew up like that. So when they come into your program, whatever their talent level was, those are things that they understood when they got in your program. So you didn't have to do a lot of teaching on competitive and playing hard. I think competitive and playing hard, those are things that you're teaching nowadays.
Coach, obviously, but this is another close loss for you guys in recent games. Close losses means you're right there at the end. So what can you guys do to get over that hump, to be on the other side of the result?
I think it's simple as do it. It's not a lot of things so it's not a lot of things, just a consistency, but it's understanding as an individual, what does it take for me to be good? And in return, it helps our team become good. I think that's the biggest key. We just got to continue to work with that bench and find the right nucleus off the bench, guys that can make shots, make plays. Even as Trey is a young guard, he's growing into that position. But he's fading. I mean, think about it. Bliss is a big physical guy. Trey did a great job battling him. So just finding the consistency coming off the bench so we can get a flow, good rotation. Like Darian, I thought he played very well today. So can that become Darian on a consistent basis? I think that's very important. So now Mike and Keith on hovering around 35 minutes a game, because that's taxing those guys with the way they play, how teams defend them. That's not easy, not to make any excuses for them today, but we got to strengthen that bench, and it's my job to make sure we get it done.
Going forward, obviously you guys are still right there in the hunt for a top 4 seed in the conference tournament. You don't play one game at a time, but you guys putting any more importance on that as you're looking towards March coming around the corner?
Well, it's not necessarily important like you got to win this game because of this. No, you got to win the game because this is what it takes to win a game. I think that's the focus, but I don't think you point to a game and say this is a must-win game, because then what does that mean about the other games? But I think it's really simple, but you got to do it. These are the things that makes us successful, and we have to do them. We got to do them at a high level. It's one thing, I think we play hard, but we got to have a level of grit and a mentality to stop teams on defense. Like they shot 53% from the field. It's hard to beat anybody at home, 53%. That means you got to get stops. You got to be gritty. You got to do the dirty stuff. You got to challenge the guy. He can't beat you late in the shot clock. You can't get back doors. Me and you one-on-one. That's pride, and that has to be in you. That's not some, okay, we just practiced that today. That's got to be in you, and it's got to be ingrained in you mentally. One-on-one defense is me and you, and I got to get this stop.
I want to ask you about Kennesaw State coming up, and you're going to get that rematch with them this time in your building. What makes them so tough? What are the keys to that game?
Kennesaw, long, athletic, big guards, physical. Like when you watch those guys, there's oftentimes you can't really tell who's the point guard, who's the center, because all of them 6'5", 6'6", 7", so they're long, they're athletic, they stretch you out. They switch 1 through 5, and they get up and down the floor. And again, respectfully, I think it's more about what we do and the level we do it at. And again, we got to get that edge back in us.
I wanted to ask you about the local kid, Tyreek Brooks,
Yeah.
just kind of how his role has evolved over the course of the season. If you were to sum it up to someone asking you what you're seeing.
Well, I really think he's grown a lot. Even though you don't see it in minutes, I think he's really grown in terms of a guy that's more of a scorer, slashing score, even though he's only 6'2.5", 6'3", a slashing score. Well, now all of a sudden he's handling the ball, making decisions with the ball, so you can really see the growth in practice. You just don't see it a lot in games. But he's really made great strides. And then again, it's just a case like we just talked about as a staff. We got to get him on the floor just in terms of his athleticism, his speed, his tenacity. Yes.